are here.
Or
If
Rochester.
That's
you just caught that, we'll go into more details. We'll go into more details as we get into it. Behind the scenes action there. If you don't know me, I'm Pip, and Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer with Greg, Rena, and Phelan, who are all going to introduce themselves and what they do. Okay, over to Greg.
Hey everyone, I'm Greg with Original 72 Creative, and we're a full service website graphic design and digital marketing firm in Vancouver.
Rena.
Hi, I'm Rena Little from Little Works Indie Media, and I have a little marketing agency also in Vancouver.
And I'm Phelan. I work with Pip at Seymour Digital Media, where we focus on search engine marketing.
Yeah. Uh, so each month we get on here and talk about all the things happening in our industries. Each of us specialize in different things, but there's a bit of crossover. Greg is the website guy that knows pretty much everything there is to know about websites, really. So he claims, anyway. Right, Greg? um,
Never claimed that.
but you were talking earlier, Greg, about a new WordPress thing coming out. What's going on there?
Yeah, they're in release candidate 2 for the newest version of WordPress 6.1, and the scheduled for release for 6.1 should be November 1st. A couple of notable things would be there's going to be a brand new theme for 2023. Um, like the last theme, I believe was fully block based theme builder, which means you can install this theme and completely customize it how you want headers, footers, content. Like it's completely block based theme, which you can also have multiple stylings too. And it's when you set up the theme, there's like a picker of I don't know, up to 10 different colors and font styles that you can choose from initially. Fully customizable after you choose as well. So
That sounds amazing.
yeah, block based themes, they're not really a thing yet, but WordPress is really pushing their default theme in that direction. But like if you look at other popular frameworks, Astra, Cadence, Generate Press, and those, they're still not block based themes. They're customizable themes with header and footers that you can customize, and then you use the block builder, Gutenberg block builder, within the content and posts to create your content. So it's like a hybrid almost,
Mm.
current themes. Yeah.
The more I learn about websites, the more I know that I need to leave it to the professionals. Like that, honestly, you get to a certain point, you're like, I like my
Yeah,
specialty over here. This is where I'm really interested. Because I do oftentimes want to bash my head against a wall when I try to do things. Mind you, by the way, Greg, I do need your help with something later.
Mhm.
um, and Phelan, is Shopify, because it's got something new with like a block builder thing. Is that what Greg's talking about?
Yeah, it's very similar to that, where the new Shopify is entirely block based. When I think they fully rolled out Hydrogen, which is the coding framework, and so it makes it super easy for them to do block building no matter the page. So before it was just block building on the home page. Now it's going to be block building
right.
on product pages. Then you can save them into templates, and so then you can reuse them later on. That it's like,
Oh,
oh, this
that's
is
gonna be
my
super fun.
yeah. It's actually pretty cool. I've played around a little bit with it, and I went, oh, okay, this is already like doing analysis paralysis to me. I'm like, there's too many options here already, which is good. It's just it's definitely one you did not fully close that door. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and and so yeah, the block builder for Shopify is very similar to the one for WordPress. There's obviously differences based on how the back ends organize it, but it's definitely gives you a lot of flexibility as well. So yeah, that's definitely one that has been pretty cool to see as well. Just like makes it super easy for non-coders to get in there and actually get like the exact way that it looks, and it's not going to be some like overly janky drag and drop system like um, you know Divi or Meta where they were, or Elementor, where it's just like they did a lot of, it was useful in a lot of ways, but definitely uh, the new systems are a lot better, and I think are going to be the
the,
future.
the start of the push of this was definitely with the like Elementor and Divi and those page builders, because they
Yeah,
are in essence building a page with different types of blocks, and so that's sort of where the block builder um, came from, is separate building blocks that you can insert within the page wherever you want to. And that's really what these page builders came out of, these page builders, is the ability to be able to open a page and be like, okay, what do I want this to look like, and start throwing in a column block and then putting in text in each column. And so that block building type of functionality is basically, it's really given the tools to people building sites to really create complex layouts however they like. So this is just more of a push from WordPress to bring the platform up to date with what these page builders created in the native WordPress, as well as
yeah.
any other platform, which is basically just using that block based feel of being able to take elements and throwing them wherever you want on the page.
I want to know, the earliest version that I can think of for block builders was MailChimp. I want to know if anyone was doing that before MailChimp.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I want to know, where did that originate from? Because that is actually quite brilliant, because it takes the design out of the hands. You don't have to have a designer, you don't have to have a developer. You can really just DIY things really quite easily now.
I would
And
I would actually argue that
yeah, well,
because although you have the functionality and the ability to do it, that
yeah,
doesn't mean people know design
of
and
course not.
how to
Of
actually
course not.
put
That's a
something out
whole
that will
that's
look good.
That's a
That's
whole
not
other
my.
conversation. But what I'm saying is that for people like photographers who know basic composition from photography, which is that's sort of where I come from, is that
Yeah.
I can actually figure out where my design elements can mostly go. And MailChimp already, like they don't give you six columns, they give you three columns, they give you two columns, and they give you and so they sort of set you up to not fail already. Do you know what I mean? Like they
Mhm.
don't give you all of the options, but they give you enough options that you can actually manage. So absolutely correct. If you have zero skills, then you're going to want to look at a book, like the design for the non-designers. But and yeah, there's some really ugly looking things that people have put together using block builders. But I do think that the potential is there for people to get a basic thing happening without having to invest a whole lot on their own. You know,
Right. Well,
Yeah.
send out
especially
an
for the people
email.
just starting.
Yeah, send out an
Right.
email and get to your clients.
Right. And I mean, one of the most disappointing things about Shopify was the fact that you couldn't do very much.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Super
It was pretty
disappointing.
hard.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Unless you bought the custom themes, which always seem to have glitches. So
and even
lots go.
WordPress, which is meant to be easy, it's
Oh, yeah.
like it's very complicated. But let's get back on the topic. Is what you're trying to say?
No, no, no. I love the website stuff because there's so, it is such a
Yeah,
fundamental part of marketing, and websites are, people don't often associate them with marketing. They're kind
yeah.
of their own, kind of like email marketing is not, it's the, I like to say, the redheaded stepchild of marketing, just saying, you know what I mean? But that's just because, it's old and it doesn't work on, it's just a whole different ballgame. Anyway, yes. Okay. Other things in the news. Let's go with social. Woohoo.
Okay. So we were having this conversation. If you caught me rambling on when Pip goes live, usually we get a countdown to go live. I don't know what happened this time, but anyways, my ramblings were in our notes. We had that Facebook group. Stories was a thing launching, but that's not true. Stories have been rolled back, of course, last month. It's Reels that is the thing. So you now have the ability to do that in groups. Then some of the other things are YouTube.
What's the
Look for your
difference?
a
Like, it's
story.
just one on
A
Instagram,
story
one on
is
Facebook?
just one, yeah. A story is just one sort of image. A reel, you can use one image to make a reel, and then you can, but it's video based, really, is
Ah,
what
okay.
it is. Yeah,
Because I
video
always
based.
associated Reels with Instagram and Stories with Facebook, but it is in fact Reels are the video, Stories are
Yeah,
the.
yeah, yeah. They're
Okay.
basically stealing the names and using them arbitrarily across all platforms. So they're just,
I
yeah, yeah.
I
Reels
had
are
to
really
tell a client this week. I was like, okay, so you have shorts on YouTube, you have TikToks on TikTok, I think, and then you have Reels on Instagram and Stories on Facebook. She was like, oh, I was like,
But you actually have a lot of all of that on all of them, and that's one of the confusing issues. And really, now I'm looking at the platforms thinking it's really about your target market and less about the type of media that you're
mm,
putting out. And a lot of that media, as we've seen, you can see the little TikTok logo in the corner of the Instagram videos and all of that stuff. So it just gets put out. Hey, we've
oh,
got people. How did
yeah.
you manage to get the names up this
I'm
time? This
so
is very exciting.
because they're in the group right now. So Yolanda's here, Mona's here. Hello, guys. Nice that you're here. Yay.
Yeah, it can be really confusing. You're absolutely right. But yeah, so we can't really think about the platforms as different media formats as it
Mm,
traditionally was. We have to actually think about our target market and where they are. So it has to do with more about demographics, topics like, topics of basically you want to get it all out there everywhere.
right. I think the short form videos, like I really do dig the 1 to 2 minute
Yeah,
videos where I learn
yeah,
something
me
pretty
too.
quick. I think
Yeah.
that's the future,
Yeah,
right?
when TikTok put up their 5 minute videos or whatever they were, 4 or 5 minute videos, or I find myself scrolling before
Leaving
they're
it.
finished. Yeah,
Oh
I want to
yeah,
watch the quick ones.
it's a bit
Yeah,
long, yeah.
yeah,
So
totally.
what
And
else
so
is
the next
going on?
Yeah, so I guess in November they're launching handles in YouTube for YouTube, which is not that different than the vanity URLs that you could get previously. But it's taken, I noticed that they started to put up roadblocks as to whether or not you could get those vanity URLs. I was trying for quite some time to get one. You used to have 1,000 followers, and then you had to have, you know, um, different things in place, and you had to wait to get the notification on your dashboard in order to get it. But now they're launching, I think it's November 17th, where you can get what they're calling a username. And it looks like, from what Phelan was saying the other day, the username is going to allow you to sort of act more like you do in social platforms where you can, what were you saying the other day, Phelan, where you could
Well, you could
interact
add,
as that URL?
yeah. Well, like
Yeah.
my guess
Or
is that it's going to be like adding people, like you could make,
yeah,
and so that's going to be like a way that you could then connect different mentions of that person, and
right.
it just seems to me like that they're looking for a way to kind of uh make it closer to like a TikTok or Facebook, like how they network people is not like
Yeah,
it's like these people, and because of that you're probably going to have these
yeah,
personality traits because you know them, and
right.
TikTok does it for like taste, so it's like, oh, you like cat video, show you more cat video.
I love my
Like
cat
that's
videos.
and
That's
so that's how they network these things.
Yeah, so whereas YouTube used to just sort of be a place where you put things to go out, and then they included the streaming, and you could kind of interact with comments during streaming. But now you're really going to be able to be way more social. So I think we're going to have to start thinking about YouTube, if we haven't already, as a social space.
Well, it's funny because it always had a lot of chatter in the comments,
Yeah,
but it also had so many trolls,
I know
right?
it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible
Uh, well,
because
yeah, it's
I think most you. I mean, I think you have two settings. You have private videos and you have public videos, and so
Unlisted.
it's not like, well, unlisted is it's true, but um, it's not like So, for example, if it's not like a Facebook group where you have an audience, right? You don't know who your audience is. It can be anyone. It's beyond just who's
Mm,
subscribing to you. So it's like having a public facing. It's like a Facebook page, really, where it's public and anyone can find you, and anyone can look at your stuff, which is totally fine. But that does get, that's what makes you open to more trolls and
mm.
problems in that way, and comment moderation problems.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can turn off the, like, I have it set so that to mediate the comments first.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
tried that. I've always just left comments up because I figure it's an algorithmic push, unless it's like, completely terrible, like against, human rights and things like that. But generally speaking, I leave bad comments almost everywhere. I might
Right?
hide them. I might hide them, but I really don't delete. I find that actually things can really escalate if you delete. People will start doing things like screen capturing your conversation and then
Mm,
throwing into other spaces that you don't have any control over. So I don't think that deleting is necessarily the best answer.
right.
Mhm.
Didn't you tell us yesterday, Rena, or tell me it was so exciting? Like some of the best, I don't know, maybe it's a tip versus the news, but you know how you can do the chapters in YouTube videos?
Oh yeah. Okay, this is something I figured out yesterday because I wanted to do this.
It's been
I'm doing.
around for a while, and I love it actually.
Me
Yeah, but
too.
that's not the
Hmm.
best part. The best part is you can actually just embed one chapter on your blog post. So basically, what I'm looking to do is I create this very long how-to blog post, which I'm really digging, and I want to have all of the screen caps on the how-to. But I also have a video. But instead of having the video up at the top and then having this really long scroll down scenario, we're gonna just embed the
The
chapters that
chapters.
pertain to that next sort of largest step, and then the next video with the next set of steps, so that people can utilize the two different learning styles within the blog post. I'm very excited about
Well,
that.
not only that, it'll create longer watch time or more
Yes,
watch
that's
time.
what
So
it
it'll
is here.
actually, like, it's quite a good strategy. I was so excited. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try it too. I am.
Yeah, it's the thing that I want. And most of the best, but the best strategies in my mind are the ones that fix a user experience, right?
Mm, it's
And because
true,
those are the strategies that Google is going to keep around. It's never a gray hat, you know.
right?
It's always right.
Yeah. And speaking of Google, that was such a good lead in. Uh, Google's always doing things, and to make a better user experience, there's been several updates. And you know what's really funny is I've had a client who is bailing on me. I know it's really sad, but it's because they don't see value because SEO is, well, it's a hidden profession. You don't see what people are doing. And it's hard to tell people that don't know, well, hey, there's algorithm updates. So even if you're doing really well, all of a sudden you could get hit. And there's been like four. I mean, or
Yeah, that's
five in the last like 3, 4 months. It's been like a lot. I mean,
yeah,
we're not going to get dinged with the spam update. And if you're getting dinged with the spam update, you should really look at what you're doing. But,
yeah,
right, if you're on the good side of Google, usually things keep working out. Um,
yes.
but that being said, we all make mistakes, right? I took a whole bunch of pages off my site, or like that had been published mistakenly, and so I have a bunch of 404 pages. So therefore, I've created a bad user experience, right? And one of the things you fix right away is 404 pages. So even
You did
SEOs
that,
get it
Rick. I
wrong.
can't believe you did that.
Well, they weren't supposed to be published. I didn't know they had been
Oh, got it.
indexed.
I
I
see.
should have
I
assumed.
see. Yeah, it can take a little while for things, just for the people out there. It can take a while for that's the other thing. You get a site up, and then the next thing you do, a week later, you get an email from a client saying, "I can't find my site online." I'm like, it hasn't even Google's. I just sent the site map, and it takes Google a while to find it and index it appropriately to keywords.
After
So,
you guys launch websites, do you do a sitemap for people?
oh yeah,
Like, okay.
oh
And
It's an
which
yeah,
console?
automatic typically when I throw up a site to have all of the basics of SEO in place and an index file
Now,
for
when
for the
you
spiders. And the one thing I was going to say about that was that I'm not sure if people could be fully aware that, because everybody knows like you can create a page. I'm talking WordPress here. You can create a page on your WordPress site and publish it, but if you don't put it in the menu, there's no links, and if nobody knows about it. But if you have a good plugin in place that is creating that XML file of your page structure, it's and you publish it, it's going to be in that. So next time Google comes and looks at that, they'll see it and they might look at it and start indexing it, even though you've created the page and not put it in your menu, but it's published. It is still accessible, so it's possible for people to get to it. So don't publish pages that you don't want to have
Right.
in these
Uh,
files.
what one slight correction to that part is you do want to have it connected somehow to other pages. An orphan page is definitely not a good one, but it's definitely because you could just have it like it connects to like a blog post and it's on the blog page, so then it
Okay.
still is like out there. But
But
you
wouldn't
want it
you,
to connect.
in the case of landing pages, wouldn't you do orphan pages that are not indexed? You just put the no index thing. That's usually what I do for landing pages,
Landing
sales
pages you
pages.
would do no index. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, good.
that's
I like
yeah,
to
yeah.
know the
That's the
I think. The other
Oh,
thing
we got a question. Let me
that
just say hello, Julie. Nice to see you. Yolanda, you are right. It is confusing. And Greg and Phelan and Rena, this is for you. This is not a question for me. It is, what is a good plugin for creating those XML files?
Yoast. That's the one.
Yeah,
I just use that one out of the box.
Yoast or Rank Math, most of the SEO plugins will have an XML file option. I
Yeah.
believe I remember WordPress saying that they were actually putting it in their system that an XML file for page structure was automatically going to be in the system. Also, I have to check on that. I seem to recall that a version of WordPress at some point might have put in that that file automatically.
Hmm.
I'll
It's
get back to you.
interesting doing that because there, a lot of people are doing, and I really like it on the footer. If you look at like the big businesses like Apple or Amazon, you see in the footer they have like it's like a sitemap now,
yeah,
right?
actually, and that's what I was going to say before everyone goes and jumps on and makes their giant menus at the top of their WordPress site. You don't need to have them there. You can put just your main ones up at the top, and then you can put the whole entire thing in the footer to
Yeah, I
make it
kind of
look
like
Yeah.
that.
pretty.
And that's a design change that is relatively new, and we see design changes over the years, right? I
Yeah.
wonder what next year will be like. Everybody was upset with the hamburger menu on a desktop. I have to say, that was
I know, which is really funny because it's really slick, but and
It's
everybody knows
slick,
how to
but
use
when
it
you
on
look
their
at it
mobile.
from usability point of view on a big desktop, show the menu so you don't have to click something to get somewhere, right? Like the usability of it is less. The look of it is clean, and people like clean. But I
Yeah.
go usability over clean any day.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
true. It's really funny because people really know how to use it on their mobile. So it really makes me, it's, I just find it so ironic that it's like second nature on a mobile, but you can't find it on the desktop.
People know they find it, they see it,
Yeah.
they know what I'm getting. The point I'm getting across is that if you have all of that real estate, and you can show it so people can see it without having to click something, that's a much better
Yeah.
usability
Yeah. So
case than having to hiding it and having the user being like, okay, well, what pages are on this site? Okay, I got to click here, something appears, and then they can get somewhere.
So Yolanda is asking, and definitely, I guess the consensus is no, don't use it on your desktop version, but definitely you need to use it on your mobile still, right? Is that
Yeah.
yeah?
That's
What
what
is
we
what
do.
is
Sorry, I'm just learning how to use Ecamm, it seems. Oh, I like
What
Yolanda's
the?
comment,
Take a
visibility
spot
over
and believe.
vanity. Um,
Visibility over vanity. Yeah.
right, it's true.
Uh,
Yeah, but man, I still there are still some, not all sites, but there are occasionally some really beautiful sites that I see that are, appropriately beautiful, like where the form and function and the point of the site matches, and I don't want a menu across the top on those ones. So,
Mm,
it,
right.
but for
it
most
it
cases,
depends. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
everything's
there's
within
use
context,
cases.
right? There,
yeah, there
Right,
are
there
like
can
a,
be
there
a
are
nice.
reasons to use it.
I'm not a fan of mega menus, and those are like when you go over like
Oh,
Google,
yeah,
inside Google platforms like Google Ads. Um, in their platform, they have mega menus, or I think Amazon has. It's a lot of information, and and then you have what is it? Choice paralysis. Just like, oh my
yes.
god, oh my god. Okay, but back to the news. Um, I don't know. Okay, so when I was a little kid, I watched this thing called Gary Gnu's. No, Gnu's is good Gnu's. If you've ever seen that or heard of that, I really want to know because people think I'm crazy. Other than that, we have. I don't know. Have you guys noticed when you type in your business name into Google now, or you can type in my business, Google shows up. It's all new how it looks. They've changed the
Yeah,
how it looks, so they want you to use your Google business profile in the search engine results pages, and they are
yeah,
pushing it hard.
they
Um,
sure
I kind of dig it, but people do have to learn how to use it. It's a little confusing, right? Better than it was 2 weeks ago. Better than it was. So we have that. And Phelan, what's going on with what is it called? Is it called Data Studio?
Well, Data Studio has been finally integrated with a company that Google bought in 2020 called Looker, which it does a bunch of machine learning and business intelligence stuff. It's definitely very enterprise, and so now Data Studio is now called Looker Studio, which I'm not
Terrible
a big
name.
fan of that name.
That's a funny name to choose.
It's
Here's
like,
your Looker Studio.
yeah, it's one of those ones like it should have been like Data Studio with the Looker add-on. It's what it should have been, but
Data. It's about the data, so it made so much sense. Now people are going to be like, "What is this thing?" You're like, "Oh, I use Looker."
Or I'm going
yeah,
to forget and I'm going to say it's something to do with a sense and I have no idea what it's called.
yeah.
Yolanda is
It
so
does.
funny.
So it does actually open up, like there's apparently going to be a paid tier. It's now being integrated into like the 360 platform, which is like their enterprise. Like you get the privilege of giving Google $100,000 a month to get their enterprise software, and so apparently it's
So
going to be
who's
integrated
using
with that.
that? None of us, I don't think.
And
Yet. Just yet.
yeah,
Yeah, not this week.
Not
yeah,
this.
yeah. I
But
don't think we're quite there just yet.
well, if we added up, if we got a whole bunch of more clients, and then we were premier partners for Google, then maybe, or do we have to be a solo business to get that?
My understanding is it's like Coca-Cola, or like that's who's using the
Uh,
360
Right.
platform. Someone who's spending several $1 million in ad budget, and $100,000 is like a rounding error to their budget.
Speaking of Coca Cola, which reminds us of Pepsi. Pepsi has recently pulled out of
I
doing.
was just thinking about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I'm thinking, when Coca Cola stopped advertising, they lost half their market share to Pepsi. Now
Didn't
Pepsi's
it?
pulling out of Super Bowl. So are they going to lose some market share? Is something
Who
new
was
going to
the
come up?
company that, yeah, and who was the company that, I think I said that.
Is it Apple? Somebody. It's
Yes,
so
it is. It's Apple
interesting.
Music. It's Apple Music. That's exactly what it was. Now I remember. Apple Music is going to have the Super Bowl spot, and I think it was for something like 5 million a year or 7 million a year,
So
over
much.
5 years. Oh yeah, 7 million over 5 years. That's what the contract is. That's a lot. Seven
Yeah,
million.
yeah, that's cushy.
That's the biggest. They must be they're making so much money.
Speaking of that, which is really interesting, a bunch of numbers came out today. Facebook's down,
For
Google's down.
yeah.
Shopify's up. They
Oh,
beat expectations, so that's interesting. As like the e-commerce boom is still not like it's not
wow.
Over.
dead yet.
I was thinking people would be going back to shopping in stores and there would be a little boom drop, but that's interesting. That's very
I
It's
interesting.
think people like to shop online now a little more.
Yeah.
If it's good service. I mean, it's funny because Costco never entered that market. because they couldn't do it. Well, I don't know if you ever saw Costco's ability to
Uh,
order
yeah,
stuff.
They do.
their
Actually,
e-commerce.
It's
they
terrible.
do. What they've done is they've joined Instacart, and that's how they sell online. So I've
Interesting.
Interesting,
used it. Yeah, I've
right?
used it. I quite liked using it. I got my order because I do a lot of grocery ordering. I don't do grocery shopping. I get mine usually from Save On Foods or Spuds, but you have to think in advance. I had a last minute event that I was doing, book club, and used Instacart. Had the dude go to a Costco and pick out the things that I wanted, and had it delivered in 2 hours. It was fantastic.
Holy bejeezers. That's
Hmm.
like that's a lot. We are out of time. We hit most of
Uh,
our news stories. Oh,
I
did you?
did want to cover one last one. Just it'll
What's
only be
that?
a minute, but Figma getting purchased by Adobe.
All right.
That was a big one that
Oh,
happened. It was a $20 billion deal, and
Yeah.
it'll be
Right.
interesting to see how that goes through. Because, like, yeah, this, I'm sure that they were doing that before the interest rate. That deal was all solidified before interest rates went up, and now they're going to be paying out the nose for that $20 billion. But
Wow.
wow. And we're
Oh, and
still. Oh, go on.
I guess Musk is buying the
Twitter.
Twitter.
yeah,
He's got
Delaware
him
made him buy
Friday.
Twitter.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what happens there. So, if you don't know, on I think is it the fourth Thursday of every month, we get on here and we do our roundup of all the things in what is it? Search, social, and websites. And then every week we do get on here and we do a talk. And if you're wondering what the talk's about, it is in our header image that Greg so graciously makes us. Um, so people are agreeing with you, Rena, about Instacart and ordering and Musk. We'll see you all next time. And if you're watching us somewhere like YouTube, just know we do have a Facebook group called Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Come join us over there. All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yes, we can, Julie. Bye, guys. And